Welcome into the Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verde, and we have more practice information to get to you real quick, fast, and in a hurry. We got our practice highlight videos uploading as we speak. A little bit of access here this morning. We got to look at the offense a little bit. More DBs and wide receivers taking on each other. Got to see some offensive line depth, defensive line depth, some, running game gaps. Then they ended it off with the special teams. We'll be back on the practice field on Monday. We won't have another highlight video. We will be taking notes, though. We'll have more of an extensive report for Monday. We'll probably make that one 30, 40 minutes and then roll over onto the next day. Tuesday, we'll get back in there with the camera, have more highlight footage for you, and we'll be doing more of the same. 6 days in a row going live, 6 days of coverage. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss another stream, another upload, anything. Appreciate all the support. Without further ado, let's jump right into this. Let's just kind of give you a brief glimpse of what you're going to see here in a few minutes with this highlight video. I don't want to give you everything. I need to keep some things under wraps. I got to have a surprise eventually. But of course, Kyron Lacy, he keeps making insane catches. He keeps pulling away as, quite frankly, our most talented wide receiver. It puzzled many as to why he wasn't on the Biletnikoff watch list. Kind of made me a little bit excited just because you're going to piss him off going into the season. Seems like it'll be all but over with him being, one of the best wide receivers in the SEC. That was just the final bit of fuel to the fire, if you will. Another takeaway from the offense, Kamorian Pimpton, he's all over the place. You can't stop him. This is probably why Mac Markaway transferred. There's a lot of things that, point to KP having a big year, but I think the biggest one is going to be how often they keep going back to the well, so to speak. I mean, you can't really keep him out of the short field. And then, quite frankly, he ran a corner route today that was about 15 yards off the line of scrimmage, and he goes get a touchdown. Yeah, he was catching it over a freshman. I can tell you who. But still, he's getting in, he's getting over it. They're aligning safeties over the tight ends as of recent. So it's kind of interesting because it's not going to be like a linebacker. It's not going to be anyone you probably have a mismatch on. You're still getting open versus someone who could pretty much blanket you in coverage 9 times out of 10. But, when you're that tall, when you're able to get over somebody, when there's that big of a height mismatch, it really doesn't matter if they're over you. It really don't matter if they're putting, pads on you or if they're running into you or whatever. You're still going to be able to snag something and grab something, get over him like KP's been able to do. We got our guys Coco and Seth in the chat. Appreciate everybody for joining. Hope, glad to see y'all. Hope y'all having a good one. Another bit of a offensive bright spot, if you will. Kylan Billiot going in, getting a touchdown. I believe Jair Brown was guarding on that one. But it was interesting because I've seen a couple of things here that interested me. We'll start off with Kylan. He's alongside Mason Taylor and Garrett Nussmeier in this rep. And the thing that I've noticed, the thing that has kind of hit me just by seeing the implementation of him, not even just how early, but how interactive they've been. Cortez Hankton, about 2-3 practice videos ago, pulls Kylan to the side, and he's like, "Hey, bro, try this, try that." Giving him a little bit of experience, a little bit of help, and then he pulls Kyron Lacy off the rep with Ashton Stamps. He says, "Kylan, go get that rep." Kylan goes get the rep. Doesn't necessarily burn Ashton Stamps, but creates a lot of separation. Gets open on CB1 and shows the potential. And then now here you go, flash forward a couple days later. You see them throwing him in the mix a little bit again. You see him throwing him in the fire a little bit again. And as a freshman, what does that tell you? Does that tell you you're going to see the field instantly? No, probably not. Not with this wide receiver room. What it does tell me, though, is that they're getting him ready. They're going to ease him into this role. They're going to ease him into the scheme. They're going to ease him into the situation that he'll inevitably find himself in. Will it be this year? Who knows? If his number's called, I'm sure he'll be ready. But all in all, it's been interesting to see them implement such a young, talented wide receiver into the ones. They're not putting him in the twos. They're not putting him in the threes. They're not giving him a Shelton Sampson, run to the top. He's kind of getting thrown in the fire already. And that was something that I've taken away. Another takeaway from the offensive side, something similar, rotational pieces, just kind of like seeing who they're putting next to, each other. And it's interesting because it seems like they're trying to see just what fits. They're trying to see what concoctions, what pieces, what combinations are really the best recipes, so to speak. And today, you saw Kamorian Pimpton line up alongside C.J. Daniels and Chris Hilton. And they're going to be lining up alongside each other a lot on the field during the start lineup, a lot on the field during the primetime games. But it's cool to see them ease Kamorian Pimpton into this role that I think, will probably have him see 4 to 5 targets a game. 4 to 5 catches would be insane, but it'll definitely get some looks. I think Trudez Green more the same, I think Kamorian Pimpton's going to be ahead of him on the depth chart. Yeah, he's got the experience. But there's another note. It's like Jadez Green has the speed. He's got the ability. He can jump out the gym. He can jump over damn near everybody on the field. But Kamorian Pimpton has that same exact ability. Kamorian Pimpton's still 6'6", still, you know, got a mindset of a damn killer out there, and you can see it. It speaks volumes. Lastly, offensive takeaway. We won't keep talking about the offense. I don't want to scare everybody, make you think I got no defensive notes. We got some defensive notes. They're not all good. We got some though. Lastly, for the offense, Xavier Thomas looks fresh. He's back. He had a little banged up hamstring. Whenever we started fall camp, we were seeing him getting wrapped. We were seeing him off to the side, just utilizing special teams, just returning footballs. Nothing big in the route running room. Nothing big on the scrimmage side of things. No 1v1s. None of that nature. And that changed today. That was all until this morning. You see Xavier Thomas go up against a couple of people. There was 2 reps in particular that stick out to me and that I'm going to kind of change my tune a little bit about Zay Thomas and the role that I expect him to have in LSU's offense and just kind of like the potential that he has. Either way, one of the reps in question, he's on P.J. Woolen, and he shakes him off in the short field. They do throw to Gabe Leonard's. They, it might have been a pre-commit, might have been just something they were trying to figure out. But he torched P.J. Woolen. And I've got high respect for P.J. Woolen. I think that, P.J. has kind of hit the ground running just about as much as you can as a freshman cornerback in the SEC. Yeah, he's a little smaller, 165 pounds. I think you're going to have to bulk him up like hell for him to be able to kind of keep running with guys. But Xavier just seems like a problem. He seems like someone that in the short field can not only create separation, but could probably break away and get 6. The second rep in question, Ashton Stamps goes over him, and man, I'll get back to this a little bit later. Something about Ashton Stamps in these inside routes. Not saying he can't cover him. Not saying he can't get better. Not saying none of that. I'm just saying the inside, over the middle, those short, quick, twitchy passes, they're going to potentially tear the defense up. And that could be why the offense is throwing it in a lot. My first thought was, okay, they're not doing the QB design runs. They're not doing the RPOs. You see Joe Sloan talk about incorporating things on the short field. But, I mean, you'll see in this highlight video, there's short field passes everywhere. They're getting them used to it. They're kind of trying to beat that rust out of him, maybe. There was a couple times that made me hold my breath. But either way, Zay Thomas gets open on Ashton Stamps, gets a nice, little heater, so to speak. And I walked away from that practice with the impression of Xavier Thomas is going to get reps at wide receiver. He's probably going to make a name for himself, and that wide receiver 3 spot could be interchangeable. It's going to be hard as hell to get CJ Daniels off the field, but when he is taking the breather, when he is on the sideline getting water, doing whatever the hell he's got to do, tie his cleats, whatever, Xavier Thomas is going to make his name known. And he's been doing that throughout camp. I feel like, at first you saw him, like I said, with the special teams, with the return group. You thought that would be the gist of his role. I don't know. You might be able to make some things shake. We got a guy landing in the chat asking who's number 12 at wide receiver. It's Kyle Parker. Kyle Parker, I believe, with the Marcus, with Garrett Nussmeier. He's got really good chemistry. The thing with Kyle that, look, I like him. Great wide receiver. Very, similar to Xavier Thomas. Smaller, speedy, in and out, trying to, keep things relatively close. But there's been a couple of times where Kyle, and I don't know if it's the throw, I don't know if it's the coverage, I don't know what the situation is, but there's a couple of times where Kyle doesn't come in with some targets that you would like him to come in with. And I think that might be, the thorn in the side for Kyle for a little bit. He'll definitely see the field. He'll definitely get utilized. He could be a special player. Hey, on CFB 25, he's tearing shit up for me. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get thrown out and kind of get some playing time. But this wide receiver room is so deep, so competitive. You really can't go wrong any direction you go in. Let's change gears. Let's move on to the defense. Look, I'll keep this one, kind of upbeat for you so we don't keep, drilling bad things. But to start it off, you're going to see it. We highlighted it. We mentioned it. We kind of made it pretty obvious what was going on. But there was a play where Major Burns had his new star position, who is playing closer to the line, who is kind of like, I don't want to call him a nickel because it's more like a dime set coverage, but he's an extra DB, put it that way. Extra DB thrown in the mix. They're trying to, have added coverage to potentially blanket some people. And you see him get a little overzealous, a little eager, goes to the line against CJ Daniels, presses him, and CJ Daniels made him pay. CJ Daniels used his momentum against him, gets wide open, hits a double move, bow, bow, and that's a potential end zone strike. Now, I don't know if it's a miscommunication in coverage. I don't know what the situation is. Maybe Major was thinking someone was going to be able to play over the top of him. Either way, that it made me kind of like, okay, well, we can't be doing this in the game, at least not against a wide receiver of this caliber. We can't be pressing them off the line, getting beat, getting fried. I don't think that's indicative of what's going to happen. I don't think that's indicative of any type of potential for any player. I do think, though, it's something we're going to have to address. It's something that we might not see week one. Might not see. Second thing, Sage Ryan and Corey Raymond, you're going to see at the end of the video, had a little bit of a conversation. Seemed like at times, people are wondering if Sage Ryan is going to pay off in this role, if he's going to continue to be in this role. And all I'm going to say to it is two things. One, I think it's better to put him in this situation in fall camp than it is in the season. Whenever you're like, oh my God, we've got to have an extra corner. The depth that we have isn't sustainable. Let's throw somebody out there. Who do we throw? Now, when that happens, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, I'm just saying in times, rotations and things change. It's literally named rotation. It rotates, it moves, people come in and out, lineups, personnel, everything changes. Hell, they change on assignment depending on the team's scheme. But my point is that now Sage Ryan has had an entire fall camp being a corner. He's got, kind of the gist of what Corey Raymond wants. But the moment that they have at the end of practice or at the end of that period where they're kind of talking with each other, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of the situation, it's been the same type of communication throughout camp. And I feel like Corey Raymond and Sage Ryan together, working together through these tough moments, is going to be what pulls LSU's defense to the other side. Look, coaching ain't easy. Hell, football is not easy in general. But when you mess up, you got to be able to, take that constructive criticism and just listen. And Sage Ryan's doing it. I think he's doing a good job of it. Will he be a lockdown corner, number one pick? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm not going to say all that. What I am saying is, though, he's not a horrible defender. He's not in a spot where he's going to be the weak point of LSU's defense. I think, if anything, putting him in that situation might bolster the secondary a little more. And I know it sounds crazy, but in all reality, your other option besides Zy Alexander at that corner spot would be J.K. Johnson. And they're feeling it out. They're not just, throwing caution to the wind and putting one or chips all on one player. It seems like J.K. Johnson is getting his reps in the twos, and they might even throw him out there. That's why I'm wondering if Sage Ryan is even going to stay at the cornerback spot, because I've been saying time and time again, if Zy Alexander gets healthy, I say Ashton and Zy at your corner spots, and then for your safeties, just run Jordan and Sage. And I mean, Jordan Allen's a great player. He could be that depth piece. I mean, you're going to see a lot of rotations all season long. I just think that, you kind of start to figure them out here in fall camp. Real quick before we continue on our defensive notes, if you got any questions, if you got anything, you're wondering LSU football wise, drop it in the chat and then hit a thumbs up for us so we can, keep banging out this fire content for you. Appreciate everybody in the stream here today. We're going to have our highlight videos debut in about 10 minutes. We got them uploading in the background. We're multitasking, but we're going to have those up for you here soon. So stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss it. A couple more notes. Firstly, in the D-line and O-line period, where they were doing, their run gap assignments, where they were just trying to just feel it out. Let's see what it looks like. Let's see what the defensive pressure is like. And I think it's increasing. I think it's ramping up. I think that the D-line's had several good practices consecutively. They're stacking days. They're kind of, getting better. And that's going to help out the secondary. When the pressure hits, when the quarterback is getting pressured, when nobody can really be settled in on the offensive side of things, you're not going to have that same monotonous dip and dive, throwing dots all over the place. You're going to have to really get creative. And I feel like the only downside that I potentially could allude to for the defense and this pressure is the D-line's not deep. So if you do lose, knock on wood, and I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news, but if you do lose someone like Jacoby Guillory, a lot changes. But as of right now, you got him healthy. And as of right now, him and Harold Perkins has become a hell of a tag team, because there's something about putting Harold Perkins on the inside, letting him read through gaps. And I know a lot of people don't want to say it. A lot of people don't want to even see it. I think it could work, and I think it could pay dividends for this defense. Now, look, it's neither here nor there, but Blake Baker has been kind of uber aggressive in history. He really wants to be able to just, everyone's been using the term wreak havoc, but I feel like that's so broad. What he really wants to do is put your ass on the ground. What he wants to do is run through you and make you 100% rethink your entire game plan. Rethink even trying to put the ball on the ground. Rethink, quite frankly, putting your quarterback in the pocket for more than 2 seconds. He's trying to put bodies on bodies. And I feel like, a lot of people got overzealous and wanted Harold Perkins to be on the edge. Wanted Harold Perkins to be on a situation where he can just constantly chase quarterbacks. With this scheme, I feel like he'd still be able to do it. But Harold Perkins being in the middle, being your Mike, being your mainstay linebacker that it is, it kind of helps everything around it come together. I guess what I'm getting at is I don't think you get the pressure with Harold Perkins that you're expecting. I think this way you're not able to just scheme him out the game. A lot of people wanted to know what happened to Harold Perkins last year. Yeah, at times he didn't have his best games. There's a lot of times where they knew what he was doing. They knew how to handle it. And you can't just have someone constantly have one objective every single game and expect it to stay continuous across the entire season. Eventually, you're going to run into a spot where it just doesn't work out. So implementing him in the inside and allowing him to have a hybrid role, read sometimes, play coverage sometimes, fill gaps from the inside, I like it, and I've liked what I've seen so far. I mean, look, I could be in the minority here on this opinion, but I'm interested to see it play out. Lastly, on the defensive side of things, Dominic McKinley, we've been talking a lot about him. We've been wondering if he's able to hit the field. We've been wondering if, he's going to be one of those pieces that is the depth that we keep questioning on the defensive line. Well, today, he got hit with a double team and look, I ain't getting off the double team. So I'm not saying nothing other than he might have to just keep getting creative. He might have to keep, developing that pass rush bag. He's going to have to get a little bit stronger, a little bit, not smarter, all around, but just you can see the inexperience with the double team. You can see him kind of get almost pushed down. You can see him get phased out to play. John Emery runs through the gap. And Joe Sloan, celebrated with him afterwards. Like, hey, way to get around that double team. Way to kind of move them pieces and understand where to go. Side note, John Emery, I think, is going to slowly take away lead horse. I mean, Josh Williams seems like your most consistent back. He's obviously the one that's the most healthy. But if John Emery comes out not missing a beat, he's got something to prove. Something to prove indeed. And then Caleb Jackson has been getting incorporated a lot as well. I feel like it's his it's his end of the year potentially, and a lot is going to play into that. Where LSU is in the college football playoffs is going to play into that. The depth, the injuries, just the overall situation is going to be real indicative. If LSU can play bully ball against USC week 1, and you see these running backs succeed, carry the ball for the expected amount of yardage, they don't get stuffed, they don't get stopped, I'd say week 1 you see Caleb Jackson get out there and get a handful of carries. You're not running against USC with 2 backs all game long. I got news for you. You're going to create something. You're going to kind of try to confuse them. And if you want to play bully ball, there's only one running back in that room that you've got to feed. There's only one real bully in that running back room, and we all know who it is. It's damn 28. It's big 2'8". He's going to send your teeth flying whenever you try to tackle him. Ask the Mississippi State defender. I bet you he's still picking him out the field. Last couple of notes. First things first, Braden Swinson came back. He was rumored to come back on Monday. Jalen Lee as well is rumored to come back. But he was back today. Academic issues, kind of got sorted out. He had one class to take. It's done. Grades in the book. Now he's back on the field. He looked good. He'll probably jump into that starting edge spot, if I had to guess. Another thing I wanted to note, Gabe Leonard's got some reps today, and it made me interested because I'm like, man, Mac Markaway transfers because he doesn't think that there's any room in the tight end spot for him. And then you see Gabe Leonard's get thrown into the mix and gets 3 or 4 targets today. So it's like, Mac, you potentially could have had something. Yeah, Pimpton and Trudez are going to be your receiving backs, and obviously, of course, or receiving tight ends, if I will. And then, of course, you got Mason Taylor, who's still going to get a plethora of targets. But Mac could have definitely seen some time, especially this early in the season when we're talking about running the football as much as we will in week 1. I mean, bro, you're seeing the field in doubles, in whatever. There's a lot of times where there's 2 tight ends all over the field. And I feel like that's going to be more common this season than not. I mean, because not even just Mason Taylor, but the guys like Kamori and Pimpton, I'm telling you, that's going to be what makes this offense that more creative. That hard to predict type scheme where you've got so much movement pre-snap, where you've got so many different pieces you've got to watch. I mean, if your running backs are giving you 40 to 50 yards each, and then somehow, some way you can string together 200 passing yards, might be easy pickings. Might be a nice little breeze to the start of the season. USC game, though, we're going to keep monitoring it. We're going to keep trying to gather fall camp intel. We got a couple of notes that we talked about on our last stream, so if you missed that, go check it out. But that's about it. That's about everything I got. Oh, we got a question in the chat. Didn't see it. My bad. We got, with how bad our special teams are, surprised we never gave, oh, Lord, Sage a chance at returner. You don't want to see that. Returning punts and returning kicks is hard. And I don't think we want to throw another person out there who hadn't done it before. Hadn't worked out in the past for LSU. So I think we should keep who we got there in the backfield, whether it be Aaron Anderson, Jelani Watkins. They say Zay Thomas. I'd hate to see him just get utilized in that. If he's on the special teams, that's fine. Please throw some balls his way, because today he lit it up in practice. I'll be posting those highlight videos here shortly after we get off so you can see it. Once again, we'll be going live on Monday, giving you an extensive practice report. No highlights on Monday, but highlights on Tuesday. Stay tuned. Hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. Thank y'all for joining. Thanks for the support once again. It's been a hell of a week. 6 days in a row. We went from going live 3 times a week to double that. Never missing a day. We're taking the day off tomorrow, though, so sorry about that. We're going to get a little breather down, a little downtime. We're going to pick it up again on Monday. I'll throw you a stream on Tuesday for the hell of it. Go live on Wednesday again. We'll just keep piecing it together as the season comes along. Vernon Verdict Takeover. Don't talk about it. Just be about it, bro. It's time. Time to up the ante. Appreciate everybody joining. Y'all have a great weekend. This has been the Vernon Verdict. I'm your host, Jacob Vernon, bringing you sports talk on the go. See you Monday.